Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, a look at some of the most memorable stories over the past 5 years.
And now, a special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. We've told a lot of stories over the years, but there's always a few that stand out. This week, we're taking another look at some of our favorite stories here on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Let's have a look. Now let's take a trip to west central New Mexico and catch a glimpse of the native way of ranching with the Laguna Pueblo tribe. It's a unique blend of culture, science, and innovation that keeps them going strong. Reporter Jim Witt has more.
We're Native Americans, so we've always been involved with farming or ranching in one way or another, agriculture. You know, throughout the history of our peoples, it's been something that sustained us ever since we can remember, probably don't even remember anymore.
John M. Romero is a Pueblo of Laguna tribe member and also affiliated with the Pueblo of Isleta in New Mexico. The Laguna people, as well as most native peoples in the Pueblo, have a history of agriculture and working with the land as far back as the early 1900s. Although conditions throughout the Southwest have always been harsh, the native peoples have worked with the land rather than against it to carve out its existence.
Families, from way back, John's parents and grandparents, my grandparents and my parents, they had I don't know if they instilled a passion for us, but we've always loved coming down here ever since we were little kids. There's no better place in the world to be but here.
During the 1930s, the federal government purchased 2 land grants for the Pueblo to relieve overgrazing. Tribal members were given the option to relocate their livestock onto these grants. John's grandfather, Benjamin Romero Sr., chose the Antonio Cedillo grant, where John continues to raise Hereford and Hereford Cross cattle today.
It's a good way to use the land, protect the land, because there's a lot of cultural sites and other things that are out here that, we don't want to be developed with commercial development or residential developments or things like that. And also, we've been traditionally, this is a way of life for our people.
It's not all about, big corporations, putting buildings on your land. It's more about respecting the land and what's there naturally given to us, taking care of, let's say, the water and the grasses, the native grasses that are there for us, instead of, going in there and overgrazing and not really thinking through on what the situation is.
It's a customary belief for the Laguna tribal members that the earth is its mother and that we all need to do our part to protect, enhance, and improve her. They also believe that we are all stewards of the land.
One of our beliefs is that, all the animals, all the plants and the trees and everything that's here is alive, and they all have, just like you and I, we all have feelings. So we try to handle our animals accordingly to work with the land, because that's also part of our belief is that, the land is our mother.
Native way of ranching is, being out there to take care of your animals. If they're sick, you take the action necessary to, vaccinate them, do what you can for them. If there's no water, you get out there and you do it yourself, or you let the others know, say you need help in hauling water, and, just coming together as a family, giving each other advice if you see somebody doing something wrong, or, giving them a better way or easier way in doing different tasks out there.
Irrigation was one of the keys to making the land prosper. Many of the irrigation practices that were first used are still in practice today. For the past 20 years, the tribe has worked with USDA to improve water distribution systems and convert windmills to solar power.
The main thing is trying to develop the water, I think, because around here in the Southwest it's pretty dry. So we need to spend a lot of time trying to develop our water resources, and we do that using the EQIP grant programs through USDA and trying to, do things like this with the solar, trying to develop the waters that are already existing.
The biggest challenges are getting the funding together to handle the improvements that we need. Our biggest problem is drinking water, drinkable water. We have artesian wells, but a lot of them are salt, have a lot of mineral content. So just getting good drinking water to the animals and getting it spread out to where we use all the land. I was very proud of the last drought that we went through in the late 90s and early part of this decade. We could have been here with no grass and everything, but they, took it upon themselves to cut their herd down and do some things that, where the land came back as soon as we got moisture, it came back very healthy. And so we just need more numbers right now. Keep everything going well.
As president of the Cedillo Cattle Association, John Romero works to promote economic welfare and encourage members to band together and sell livestock as a cooperative group. He is keeping an eye towards the future and exploring profit opportunities for native-raised beef.
I think there's kind of a hidden market as far as the native peoples are concerned, not only at Laguna, but the other pueblos and other tribes, and maybe to have the tribes band together to start marketing our beef as not just Laguna beef or other tribes, but as Native American beef, if you will. Especially nowadays with the economy as bad as it is, we need to keep our products and promote our products even more, especially with this country of origin labeling coming in soon, and it's already there. And I go to the supermarket nowadays and I see a lot of our meat products are not even from this country, they're from other countries, and we need to protect ourselves.
Reporting from New Mexico, I'm Jim Witt for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
John Romero shared that in the old westerns, the natives used to say how when greeting someone, and the Laguna Pueblo tribe has been showing how to get the job done by honoring the value of hard work, caring for the land, its animals, and the tribe for generations. For more information on the Cedillo Cattle Association, visit cattlemantocattleman.org. Family is a driving force behind many successful operations, but one ranch in Bruno, Idaho is 7 generations in the making and still going strong. Reporter Brian Baxter explains how their hard work and determination create a rich family lifestyle.
The Western way of ranching business is to build off the heritage that you have and be able to pass it on to the next generation.
One look at this beautiful landscape in Bruno, Idaho, and it's easy to understand why the Collier family has been ranching in this area for over 130 years.
Well, it all began in 1876. My great-grandfather came out here from Cambridge, Ohio with his family. I was raised as a little kid, what's now under the water, the house, original house. We moved over out of there in 1936 and bought a ranch. And that part is still incorporated in this ranch. And then we added other ranches to it.
While the landscape has changed over time with the addition of a reservoir, there's one thing that has stayed the same: the importance of family. 4 generations of Colliers, ranging in age from 3 months to 86 years old, live together on the ranch.
We're very lucky to have my mom and dad here on the ranch, still very active in the operation. Kyle got married and decided to come back and continue the operation. Him and his wife Bobby live here, as well as their 2 kids, Piper and Cruz, and then of course Sherry and I, and my daughter Katie's actively involved as well.
It's nice that my daughter can run down the hill and go down and see my grandparents, and then she can run up to my mom and dad's in the same amount of time.
Hardly a week goes by that we don't all get together and eat meals together, and somebody fixes something for each other, and we have a lot of camaraderie right in our own family.
Along with a strong family connection comes a love for the ranch that's passed down from generation to generation.
When I was in college, I used to call home once a day to find out not so much about how everybody was doing, but how the cattle were doing, or what was happening on the ranch on a daily basis. I mean, it's one thing that seems like it's just kind of bred into you a little bit.
As the Collier family grows, so does their operation. But no matter what changes, they hope Hereford cattle will always remain at the heart of the ranch.
The real plus for Hereford cattle is the efficiency and their ability to adapt under harsh range conditions. That's always been their strength. I guess feet and legs and structure on the cattle and their ability to travel.
We've always had Hereford cattle. We had commercial Herefords. I can remember a time that we wouldn't see a black one on this ranch.
Back in about 1976, Sherry and I got married, and we kind of changed the operation from a commercial operation, went to purebred Herefords. And then in '92 we have sold the commercial part of the operation, and then started with some Angus, and got in the registered Angus business as well.
The two breeds really complement each other, and it's interesting since we've had both of the cattle to figure out the strengths and weaknesses of both breeds, and then actually it makes you understand why those two breeds need to be crossed.
Their expertise is paying off big. The Colliers have won many top awards from cattle shows around the country.
We've been really lucky, you know, in the past probably 10 years at the National Western Stock Show, which is kind of our Super Bowl of cattle shows, if you will. You know, we had two bulls that were two-time national champions in back-to-back years, and that's pretty rare. You know, we've been able to have a couple, 2 or 3 national champion females as well.
Although their roots date back to the 1800s, the Collier family uses modern technology to help out on their big annual sale day and to meet the ever-changing needs of their customers.
Our big payday is sale day. We normally have 200 to 300 people at the ranch sale day, and we try to offer about 150 to 170 bulls, usually 50 or 60 females as well. We have quite a few people that feel comfortable enough with our program that they're able to stay at home and bid over the internet, and we stand behind our cattle, and they know the reputation of what they'll do, and so they don't have to travel like they have in the past.
No matter what changes lay ahead of them, the Collier family hopes one thing will never change: living their daily lives together on the ranch.
You have a different mentality, I guess, when you wake up in the morning. You're not working from 9 to 5 and go home and you don't care about what happens the rest of the day. You have a lot more invested interest in what you're doing. Since it is a family operation, it sure enough makes you care just a little bit more.
Reporting from the Collier, Hereford, and Angus Ranch in Bruno, Idaho, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Join other cattlemen and cattlewomen like the Collier family as members of NCBA. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us at beefusa.org. We'll be right back.
They're out there, lurking on your pasture, just waiting to infect your cattle as they graze. Cattle worms cost you money, but a Safeguard strategic deworming program allows you to deworm your cattle and lower worm burdens on your pasture, resulting in improved pregnancy rates and heavier calf weights. Plus, there's a Safeguard form for every operation. So start killing parasites where they lurk. Talk to your animal health provider today about a Safeguard strategic dewormer program. Safeguard. Think strategically. Act decisively.
Grow more low-cost forage and improve grazing access by clearing out weeds and brush with these Dow AgroSciences herbicides. See your Dow AgroSciences representative or visit rangeandpasture.com.
Head to Denver, Colorado and join cattlemen from across the country for the 2012 Cattle Industry Summer Conference. This is your chance to meet with industry leadership and fellow cattlemen on current trends and initiatives while also making valuable contacts. Registered attendees will also have access to hot topics at the Issues Forums. Join us for the 2012 Cattle Industry Summer Conference, July 25th to the 28th in Denver, Colorado. Visit beefusa.org for more information.
To stay up to date on beef industry news and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, check out beefusa.org. You'll find news on both the Federation of State Beef Councils and the work of NCBA on Capitol Hill. Plus, link to NCBA programs like the blog, Beltway Beef, updates on the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, and the latest from NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Connect today at beefusa.org.
When you mention West Texas, most people think of dry, lowland desert. But there's a place high in the Texas mountains that for decades has been a retreat from the humid Texas heat. Reporter Matt Fleck has a story about a ranching family that has called this area home since the days of the Chisholm Trail.
Yeah, my granddad started off, he was a trail foreman for Blocker, and he was their roper for Blocker, and they trailed I think 10,000 steers is most they ever trailed up to Kansas.
James Dyer's grandfather worked as a trail foreman, driving cattle up from Mexico to Kansas along the famous Chisholm Trail. During those trail drives, his keen eye noticed what he thought was the best land around, the place he wanted to settle.
He was real conservative and saved his money and bought a farm in Godley, and his brother run it for him while he was trail driving, and then when he got enough money, well, he come to Callahan County and Shackford County and bought those ranches.
It's been 5 generations since then, and James now runs the family ranch with his children and grandchildren. His son Jim says even the ranch name, Rancho Espuela, which in English means the Spur Ranch, is rich in history.
About 1975, my dad bought a ranch up in Hudspeth County, and it's a pretty big old ranch, and he started getting cattle in. He went up to Kansas and bought some pairs, and they all had a Spur branded on them, and the Spur brand wasn't registered in Hudspeth County, so we just came up with that name.
The Dyer family has been raising Limousin cattle for about 40 years. Jim says that his dad had the first half-blood bull that was born in the United States.
Between all the different family entities and partnerships, we run about 2,500 mother cows, and we use Limousin bulls on all those cows. We like the Limousin Hereford cross, that calf. It's a red bald-faced calf with red around its eyes, and we just, we didn't have any calving problems with them. We just kind of fell in love with the Limousin cattle, and that's when we started breeding Limousin. Just went all the way.
While ranching in the West Texas mountains has its challenges, Jim says that he thinks it's some of the best country anywhere.
I think this got the greatest climate in the world. We don't have any humidity, and we're at an elevation of over a mile high here, and we get our rains in the summer, and that's when we get our grass. We've got grama grass. It's a real strong grass.
The grass is a key element to what makes this area so attractive to cattlemen.
Instead of having to put up hay and feed hay all summer, we just let the cattle graze. We'll supplement them a little bit with protein, either some cubes or maybe some lick or something like that. But we don't have all that expense. We don't have hay balers and tractors and anything like that. So our cost of operation is probably cheaper here than it is any place in the country.
Jim's dad says the biggest change he's seen over the last 50 years is how cattle are marketed, and the Rancho Espuela Cattle Company is keeping up with the times.
We probably sell from 1,000 to 1,500 yearlings a year to large lean. What they're looking for is cattle not necessarily that'll grade choice or prime, but they want cattle that'll grade select and have a whole lot of muscle. And so that's one thing that the Limousin excels in. They've got a lot of muscle, and it's all lean meat. And so the programs work pretty good for us.
It's the continuity of family and the willingness to adapt to changes that has kept the Rancho Espuela Cattle Company in business for over 5 generations. And as the Limousine Cross cattle graze the grandma grass high in the Texas mountains, the Dyer family can be proud of what they have built. Reporting from Fort Davis, Texas, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
You can learn more about Jim's ranch and his business, Big Bend Trailers, on our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Making a history lesson entertaining can be quite a challenge, especially when you're trying to keep the attention of young children. Luckily, an event at the Fort Worth Stockyards is playing a vital role in bringing history to life. Reporter Justin Field explains.
The Fort Worth Stockyards quickly become a classroom as kids of all ages gather around a campfire for Cow Camp, a fun event designed to teach kids about life during the times of cattle drives.
These are things that most people don't see on an everyday basis. If you go to most cowboy reenactments, you see a gunfight, people getting shot, people falling down. What we actually do in the cow camp is we bring it down to an even lower level to what the drover actually did. The younger kids, when they were just barely able to get into their teens, actually going up the trail, the hardships that they actually went through.
Drover Jerry Eastman joined the herd in 2008 with one goal in mind: to bring history to life.
That's some of the hardships that they actually had on the trail.
What we actually do is we talk about the chuck wagon, what happened on the trail with the chuck wagon, why the chuck wagon's here, what the drovers were doing. We talk about the roping and how they roped the horses and the steers, because most people just see it on a rodeo. And then we actually have them watch them in the arena, and we actually have interaction out in the arena where we do the branding, talking about the whips and why we use whips, why we brand cattle, and how the trail was actually done.
The drovers work hard to paint the picture of just how difficult life was for cowboys nearly 150 years ago.
It's not the glamorous gunfight, the cowboy gets the girl and gets to go home with her at night, or gets to go out and pet his horse and sit up on a ridge and look out over all this vast land. He's actually out having to work to do what he's got to do. With 2,000 to 3,000 head of cattle, there was probably only 15 to 20 drovers that went up the trail with them. They had to ride back and forth quite a bit. They had to depend on each other.
He was gone and we had some downtime, which was not a lot because we're in the saddle 16 to 18 hours a day.
It just takes us back to how hard they worked and the crafts that they did back then, and what they did to help the farmers, to help the ranchers, and probably how we don't utilize our time very well today.
The values were there, the morals were there, and obviously taking millions of head of cattle up in the 20 some odd years that they took them up there certainly added a lot of the values and morals that established the cowboy and the cowboy life.
But as the drovers point out, life for a cowboy isn't all that different today.
A lot of the people that live in cities don't understand that real cowboys today are actually out on ranches, sitting out there with the cattle in a lonesome area just by themselves, the way it was actually done 150, 200 years ago.
With so many demonstrations, everyone who attended Cow Camp learned something new.
Your saddle is made out of a tree.
I didn't know that either.
And the things you put your feet in, they are made out of wood, but leather is covering them.
Even those who are young at heart went home with some interesting facts on hand.
Well, I didn't realize that the spurs did as much as that they did as far as helping the cows move. I thought you just popped them once and that's what made them go.
Jerry hopes that everyone leaves with a better understanding of the history of cattle drives, and he hopes to continue educating people of all ages for many years to come.
If we don't keep our past and remember our past, we're going to lose it. And it's great to see all these kids come out here. I'm actually at my dream job now. I get to dress like a real cowboy. I get to ride a horse. I get to move cattle down the street. I get to talk about history. So this is really a dream job. I hope that the people that when they leave here have an appreciation of what their forefathers basically had.
It's a life experience that you can learn more about animals you love.
And that puts a smile on everyone's face.
Look at that camera, little Texas. Come out with that camera. There you go.
Reporting from the stockyards in Fort Worth, Texas, I'm Justin Field for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
What a great way to teach kids a lesson. Stay with us.
These days, more cattlemen choose Draxxin to fight BRD than any other brand. Here's why.
It works. We have fewer repulls, and the ones that we do repull respond, and we have fewer chronics in the end.
To retreat anything it's a lot more expensive than using Draxxin as a first time.
And the evidence backs up what most cattlemen already know. Draxxin cuts retreats by 50%. So talk to your veterinarian and check the online calculator at Draxxin.com. You'll see why Draxxin should be your first choice to fight BRD.
Basically what it's allowed us to do with our operation is run more cattle through in a given period of time. It's just really been a good product to use.
Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Please visit Draxxin.com or call 1-888-DRAXXIN for more information.
You're not responsible for the weather, just the cattle. And Rangeland works as hard as you do to deliver performance, production, and profitability. Cattle need consistent nutrition. They'll get it year-round with Rangeland products from Land O'Lakes. Deliver what they need free choice in weather-resistant loose minerals and mineral and protein tubs. Get the most out of your forage. See your Land O'Lakes Co-op for products that will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at us. Weather's coming in. Rangeland. Consider it done.
This spring, don't turn out a leftover. Turn out a Reputation Leachman bull. On Wednesday, May 23rd and May 24th, Leachmans are selling 150 bulls, including Angus, Red Angus, and Red and Black stabilizers in their first Grass Time online bull sale. Leachman bulls are designed to breed profitability into your commercial herd, with each bull receiving an evaluation from weaning to yearling for performance, feed efficiency, fertility, ultrasound, and disposition. With Leachman bulls, you can build a more profitable cow herd while raising steer calves that are easy to market using the Leachman reputation, unsurpassed in name recognition among order buyers, stockers, and feeders across the country. Don't be nervous about buying a bull online. Call Leachmans and let them select one specific to your herd needs. They guarantee 100% satisfaction. If you don't like the bull, you don't own him. Leachmans will also deliver your purchase. Call or view the lots at saledayusa.com and let them go to work for you.
In central Missouri, you'll find Angel Farms. The operation has one distinct characteristic that makes it different from many others across the nation. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter explains what makes this operation unique.
Sally Angel knows exactly what it is that makes her cows stand out.
One thing unique about my cow herd is that they're not black. I raise registered Charolais here in Missouri.
Angel Charolais Farms is located about 2 hours west of St. Louis near Centralia. The focus of this family-run business is raising registered Charolais bulls for commercial producers.
I sell my bulls to commercial producers in Missouri, Illinois, and Oklahoma. All of my bulls are sold private treaty. I do use the internet, and I actually have had several calls from people that have seen the bulls listed on the website. Calving ease and disposition are two very important traits in our herd, and from there we go right into growth, and I try to use bulls that have very high weaning and yearling EPDs with high accuracies, and I just think that I can do a lot for the commercial breeder.
Like a lot of ranchers, Sally's love for the breed of cattle she raises came at an early age.
Like many other producers, I started out in 4-H and FFA, and I had 3 heifers when I was in high school, and I just kept the heifers, and at the beginning I did buy a few heifers from different sales or cows, and now I keep the top end of my heifers. I don't sell any of them, and the bottom end of the heifers I feed out or sell at the local livestock auction, and I presently have 125 Charolais cows.
It's a passion that she's passing on to her own daughters, who all lend a hand running the operation.
I actually have 4 girls. They range in age from 6 to 17. One's a kindergartner and one's a senior. I will be sad this fall when she goes off to college. She's planning on attending the University of Missouri, and she's going to major in ag journalism. She actually writes a small article for a trade journal called the Cattleman's Advocate, and it's called the Youth Column, and so she's hopefully will go on and become involved in the beef industry in some way. Even the littlest one she helps out on the farm also, and the oldest ones have become very good help, and when we have our synchronization day or AI day, they're all there to help out, and they're a big asset to the program. I think that it's a great learning experience for them to grow up in an agricultural background, and for the most part, I think they all enjoy it.
Working hand in hand with the one she loves offers a daily reminder of why it's important to produce only high-quality cattle. That's why Sally put so much effort into making sure Angel Charlet Farms is a safe and secure operation.
We utilize the BQA program here at Angel Charlet Farms. We work very closely with our veterinarian. Our cows are worked yearly, and our calves go through a complete set of vaccinations. We have very good facilities. We like to keep our cattle moving safely through the chutes and keep the people working with us safe also. The bottom line is that the consumer is our #1 customer, and we need to guarantee them that we are producing a product that is safe and wholesome. And I am a mother of 4 children, and I want to know that what I am feeding my children is healthy, just like every other mother in the world. And as a producer here in Missouri, we utilize the BQA program, and therefore I feel very confident in telling anyone that the product that I am producing is very safe and good to eat.
As a representative serving on the Missouri Beef Industry Council, Sally knows that in order to have a strong and profitable beef industry, you need a national organization like NCBA looking out for the best interests of producers.
Washington, D.C. seems like it's a long way away from Missouri. However, I do think that in the next 5 years, there will be many people that are going to try to legislate what we do in animal agriculture in our state, and that will be one of our biggest challenges. Cattlemen in general are very independent people, but when you're talking about the industry that you belong to, I think that they need to realize that they need to be a part of a team, and NCBA is that team. In the next 5 years, it will be critical that more cattle producers join NCBA to help fight with the legislative issues influencing our industry.
At the end of the day, the most important thing is that Sally Angel is doing what she loves, working with Charlet.
The favorite part of my operation would have to be calving in the fall, when the temperatures have cooled down, the grass is still green, there's very little mud in the fall, and we synchronize all of our cows, so on a given day we might have 10 new AI calves, and it's just a very rewarding part of my Charlet operation. I actually love the flexibility and the freedom of being self-employed. I love being able to just come out and roll out a bale of hay, watch the cows graze, watch the bulls develop, and I love the people that are involved in the cattle industry.
In Missouri, for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, I'm Brian Baxter.
You can always view our Day in the Life segments online. Just visit us at cattlemantocattleman.org.
At Cabela's Corporate Outfitters, our business is outfitting your business with everything from customized clothing and equipment to great incentives like gift cards and hunting or fishing trips. We carry more than 150,000 products, all backed by Cabela's world-famous commitment to quality and service, along with volume-based pricing for any size business or budget. You trust Cabela's with your outdoor experiences, so rely on Cabela's Corporate Outfitters to build your brand. Visit us today at cabela's.com/B2B.
Wanting to cut costs as well as hay? You don't have to look any further than your John Deere dealer. Pile up big bonus cash or special financing on our high-quality lineup of hay tools from mower conditioners to balers. Or if you have a utility tractor in mind, take advantage of some of the best deals ever on the rugged 5 Series and 6 Series. Make tracks for your John Deere dealer now and bag big savings.
Preventing cattle pink eye is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
1. Vaccinate your animals with Pillaguard Pink Eye TriView to provide pink eye fighting antibodies in the tears that bathe the eye. Broad spectrum protection that cross-reacts with 103 different strains of pink eye causing bacteria. 2. Stop the flies that spread pink eye bacteria throughout the herd. Apply Double Barrel VP ear tags and Ultra Boss Pour-On for up to 5 months of face fly and horn fly control. 3. Manage the environment to reduce damage to the animal's eye from seed heads, pollen, and UV light, irritants that increase the risk of pink eye infection. With the right tools, preventing pink eye is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Dan Thompson from DocTalk. A lot of people are talking about carbon footprinting, but not very many people know what it is. This week I'm going to be joined by Dr. Kimberly Stackhouse Lawson to discuss carbon footprinting. Dr. Lawson is an international expert in carbon footprinting for animal agriculture, and we'll talk about exactly what it is and how carbon footprinting relates to greenhouse gases and global warming. So please join me on DocTalk right here on RFD TV, and I'll see you down the road.
Welcome back. American cattle ranching is a subject of countless books and movies worldwide, but the actual history is just as compelling as any fiction. A museum in the Texas Panhandle, the largest history museum in the state, devotes much of its collection to ranching.
Born in Illinois in the 1830s, Charles Goodnight moved with his mother and stepfather to Texas as a child.
He struck out on his own as a teenager. He's 18, 19 years old. He and one of his stepbrothers got involved in a ranching venture west of Fort Worth in partnership with another guy who actually owned the cattle, and they received some of the calves that were born each year as their payment for managing the herd.
Charles Goodnight soon became a ranching legend. After the Civil War, he was one of the first people to drive cattle into the Texas Panhandle and open a permanent operation there, what became the J.A. Ranch, deep in Palo Duro Canyon, south of Amarillo. He helped blaze cattle trails all over the American West, losing and making his fortune several times over. Goodnight was also a pioneer when it came to agriculture and especially cattle breeding.
Charles Goodnight's greatest strength probably was as a breeder. He somehow had an innate understanding of genetics and breeding. He understood how to upgrade cattle. And maybe he was just a good observer, but he had a passion about him for upgrading cattle. And he began to try to upgrade his longhorns with Durhams or Shorthorns, and the Shorthorns somehow didn't do well in the Texas Panhandle. So he was probably the first in the Texas Panhandle to use Herefords to crossbreed with his Longhorn, Shorthorn mixtures, and he would select what he considered the best specimen and breed them together. And by the time he left the J.A. Ranch at the end of 1887, he had what's regarded as a very, very fine herd of cattle.
Charles Goodnight was instrumental in making the Texas Panhandle the center of the U.S. cattle industry during the late 1800s. Credited with inventing the chuck wagon used on cattle drives, he was an active and driving force in the region late into his life. He also caused a sensation when, on his 91st birthday, he was married for the second time to a distant cousin, 65 years his junior.
It was the talk of all of Texas and elsewhere that this 91-year-old man had married a 26-year-old woman. According to the story, according to her diary, which is at the University of Texas, she almost immediately became pregnant, but suffered a miscarriage several months later, to her great sadness and Charles Goodnight's great sadness, because at the age of 91, he still entertained the idea of leaving an heir. Of course, he didn't.
In his old age, Charles Goodnight considered himself a failure, but modern cattle ranching owes him a large debt for his groundbreaking innovations and energetic leadership. And Dr. Green says Goodnight's legacy is still strong, judging by the visitors who seek out his items at the museum.
And I think a lot of people who've heard of Charles Goodnight and want to know a little more about him especially get a sense of almost touching Charles Goodnight when they come here, because we have any number of items. And of course, there's this beautiful statue over here of Charles Goodnight that lets people have a glimpse of what he looked like, perhaps.
Reporting from the Panhandle Plains Historical Museum in Canyon, Texas, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
A fictionalized account of a famed cattle drive made by Charles Goodnight and his partner Oliver Loving was made into the award-winning book and movie Lonesome Dove. It's a part of a cowboy's wardrobe that has both function and a rich heritage, the cowboy hat. We recently had a chance to learn more about both the function and the fashion of today's cowboy hats from our friends up at Greeley Hat Works.
I think the reason the cowboy hat has endured is, you know, I guess really it's a symbol of the American West and of freedom. And, you know, you could watch liberal media and hear how much everybody hates America. I sell a ton of cowboy hats in England, Switzerland, Germany, France, Australia, all these different places that they might not like our policies in the U.S., but they love cowboys, they love American West. So we started out in the front, the showroom of the store, but I'd like to show you around the back here. So once we get the order in, we start by cutting the sweatband, and that's where we do this over here. And we use several different colors of sweatbands. It kind of depends on the customer or the order, but we print them. We can print your name on them. Some of the equipment we use is made so we can cut them specific sizes. Otherwise, we'll cut the sweatband right to your head pattern. So all of our hats are all kind of one size fits no one. They come in different colors and different qualities. And once we do that, we'll bring them over here and we'll get ready to start blocking the hats. Now what the blocking does is pushes a block into the crown of the hat so that we could steam it. The steam actually helps lock the fibers together, so that makes what makes a good hat tight and stiff. Okay, so what we do over here, once we pick out the appropriate hat body, and we've had your head measured, or we know what size hat you wear, depending on the style, we'll pick out the appropriate hat block for your hat. Once we do that, we'll get ready to put it in this machine here. This is called a finger blocker, and what this is going to do is push the block of the hat into the crown of the hat body, like this. So once we do that, we'll let it cool. Let it cool in here for 5 to 10 minutes. And once it's cooled and it comes out, you'll now see that the crown of the hat is into the hat body. Like this. So now we have a definite break line from the crown and the brim of the hat. We'll tie this onto the hat block, and once it's cool is when we'll start the sanding process. So what we've done here is we've already blocked the hat, pressed the brim flat, and we've already sanded the crown of this hat. All the nap is going down in one direction, and all the felt has been sanded down, ironed, and lured or re-greased, because it's like hair. You have to put good oil back into it since we've kind of dried it out with our process. And now what we've done is cut the brim, and we're starting to work on the brim here. And that's what Jacob here is doing, is hand sanding the brim of the hat. Once we take it out of the blocker, we need to press that brim flat, and that's what we do here with these sandbag presses. We'll put the hat into a flange, and this helps differentiate the crown from the brim and makes a break line where later we will actually sew the sweatband into the hat. So now that we've blocked and flanged the hat, sanded it, trimmed the brim, we're ready to sew the sweatband in. So the first thing we do is test the sweatband in the hat, make sure everything's fitting up nice. Now the sewing machine we're going to be using is an old Singer. This was built in the late 20s, and you'll see it has a really long neck on it, and that's to allow this to go for the brim to fit into the machine. And now the sweatband is sewn into the hat. After this, we'll take it over to Sharon, where the excess that we cut off of the brim we actually turn into a self band made out of felt with a buckle on it, and that's normally how we trim the hats, but as always, it's a custom hat. We'll do it however you like. So here's a custom hat that we've just finished up. It's got the self-band with a silver buckle. The brim's been cut to 4 inches. The sweatband's been sewn in. And we've actually made a cedar pattern of his head. It's all been lined, natural leather sweatband. His name's been put in the hat. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and crease it to his specifications from when we measured him at the show. And once again, the steam is softening up those fibers or the scales on the hair. And then as it cools off, they'll interact with each other and kind of grab onto each other and get stiff again. And that's what makes a good hat. So really not a whole lot has changed over the course of 100 years. Still done by hand and still loving what we do. So there we go. Fit right to the exact shape of his head, creased up and ready to be shipped out.
It's amazing to see those hats being made, and even more amazing to wear one. For more information on Greeley Hat Works, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Stay with us. Baxter Black is up next.
Ever wonder where the beef checkoff dollar goes and what it buys? The Federation of State Beef Councils is made up of the 45 qualified state beef councils that collect the $1 per head beef checkoff. Each council keeps control of 50 cents and sends 50 cents to the Cattlemen's Beef Board for use in national beef checkoff programs. Many states also choose to send a portion of their share to the Federation to expand national and international efforts. As a division of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the Federation of State Beef Councils works to support an effective state and national partnership, helping to increase beef demand through research, promotion, and education. Because producers themselves direct these programs, your beef checkoff dollars are in good hands. Learn more about the Federation of State Beef Councils by visiting beefusa.org.
Assuring beef quality begins with dedicated people such as Phoebe Bittler, a dairy producer, and Jim Warren, a cattle auction market owner. Both are winners of the Beef Checkoff-funded National Beef Quality Assurance Award, and both recognize the need for the entire industry to focus on beef quality.
We've tried to put our best foot forward and try to see that the product that we send out of this country is the most wholesome, safest, best product that anybody could have anywhere. And to be complimented for that effort is an amazing experience.
It's all important, and I think there's some really good protocols laid out in the Beef Quality Assurance Program that will help producers to do the best job that they can do.
Producers across the nation have embraced the BQA program because they're committed to producing the world's best beef. To find out how you can compete for the BQA National Awards, visit the website bqa.org.
Quality matters to me because I'm responsible for managing the natural resources under my care, providing clean water and healthy feed, and creating an environment that fosters new life. I care for mother cows and newborn calves, nurturing them through the beginning of the life cycle. The entire beef industry is relying on me to provide a quality product they can work with. This is the beginning of the American beef industry. I'm proud of what we'll do here today.
Seasons change, but year in, year out, year round, it's Crystalix season. With specific supplements for weaning stress in fall, protein for pre-calving in winter, calving in spring, and minerals and fly control in summer. For low cost per head per day supplements, every season is Crystalix season.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
Everyone says they love chicken. Ambrosia. Sent from above.
But nobody loves a chicken. A chicken ain't easy to love. It's hard to housebreak a chicken. They just don't make very good pets. You might teach one bird imitations, but that's about as good as it gets. And mentally, they're plumb light-headed and never confused by the facts. That's why there's no C&I chickens, or guard chickens, or trained chicken acts. Some say this ignoble creature, with intellect unrefined and lack of civilized manners, has little to offer mankind. But let me suggest that the chicken had two contributions to make. The first was the pecking order. The second, the chicken fried steak. She felt an affection for chickens. She did. Some might say it was overly so. So when her good hens started showing up dead, it dealt her kind heart quite a blow. The dog, she figured, that pig-headed cur that helped the old man with his stock. He acted like he was king of the place, the duly crowned cock of the walk. Well, she laid several traps and kept an eye peeled to catch the canine in the act. She'd recently read in the Poultryman's News of a cure for these chicken attacks. The method was crude, but flat guaranteed to put this behavior to bed. At last she espied the old dog fast asleep, a chicken laid out by his head. She put on a glove and crept out on the lawn, sneaked up and grasped the flat hen, and then proceeded to wallop that foul-killing dog with the chicken, and I mean end to end. He dove for the doghouse. She followed him in. There ensued a bodacious uproar. Timber and bedding and pieces of dog came boiling out through the door. She whacked him, she pelted, she thrashed him and more till the chicken was threadbare and gray. And she loosened her grip on the poor chicken's neck, a sacrifice made for the flock. She laid the wee beast reverently out on the lawn and swooned when it sat up and squawked. This is Baxter Black from out there.
We'll see you back here next week on RFD TV.